And
Dan,
back at it again.
episode
Number double figure.
double digits is what we're at.
Digits. Yep. This episode today, we're going to enter a depth and we're going to talk about parenting, but fathering, but it applies to just parenting. Don't switch off if that's I'm out.
See ya.
Because I want to start by saying this is humanity. One of my favorite quotes, Isaac Newton. Good old Isaac. Zachy boy. He probably wrote a few different quotes. I don't know, at what point does conversation... Oh, quote. I don't know.
Maybe it's like you get famous off of one quote and they're like, what he said was so good, so now people are listening even more.
So they're quotable. So he's clocked over, then he goes, quotable.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, wow.
I could be way off on that, but...
I've been to a friend's house and they've got themselves. They've quoted themselves. They've framed it in their home. So part of me is like, oh. But then the other one was like, I like it.
Yeah.
How much confidence does that exude? Just like, boom. Daniel said.
I have some pretty good quotes. See, look, they're good.
And they were like dead serious quotes. And so I stood there for a minute going, oh, yeah, right.
Power of the words. I mean, I like it.
Enough scripture has been said about our tongue and the words that we use, the power and the weight of words. And an image says 1,000 words, but words just say words.
Yeah.
And words are powerful. How many bullies have used words over
physical. Yeah.
I think that, yeah.
It always starts with words.
They penetrate, they motivate.
Typically, it's not just, I'm going to come up and punch you in the face. Typically, it starts with words.
Yes. Oh. All right, Dan, Isaac Newton said, we can, and this is Daniel's interpretation.
Which is probably better than the original quote.
Totally. Old English.
Yeah.
We can see further because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And if you stop and think about that long enough, the potency of that is real. Because yes, it talks about parenting, but it talks about who we are and how far we've come since the creation of humanity. And we can see further because as civilizations continue, yes, Isaac Newton was talking about more so species and knowledge and intellect and things like that. We know we're getting smarter.
Yeah.
Or at least we're documenting and recording, and the internet apparently doubles each year just in terms of sheer size. And you're like, not that the internet is, what we know, but that I think is really the body of knowledge just continues to grow.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can do a PhD on Taylor Swift,
or we might have just run out of ideas.
You're right. Are we actually, maybe we're not advancing. But I think I like it because it takes, when you stop to think about it, it means we get to look back and go, wow, how far have we come? It also means gratitude because thank you, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I can see further. And I've applied that to parenting then as a dad and gone, one of my sole objectives is that I run as hard as I can, as far as I can, and hand a baton over so that my children can then grab the baton and they can run further.
Yeah.
And I think that's, however, what even that looks like even as a leader or as someone speaking into youth or someone speaking into, it doesn't have to be necessarily in your home as a parent.
If you have a voice.
Honestly,
yeah,
those are ideas we get to pass things on, but we get to better, people around us each time. So that I think as a starting point, because as we do that, as we try our best to go further or higher or all those things, this is when rubber hits the road and it's hard. Because then as a dad, how many times are we conflicted? But work. Because I'm working to make a better life. are you making a better life or are you making weaker children?
Yeah.
And that is a hard tension to be in. And I think we've talked about it before, but really we're going to slow it down today and talk about that a bit more. And so, Dan, my question to start off with, have you ever hit a point that you've realized, oh, I think I've worked a little bit too much?
Yeah, I think it's a consistent thing. Like
Mm,
I feel like that's the word of these last few episodes is consistency. But I mean like consistency as far as like always keep it on top of mind because it's
yeah.
very easy to forget, when you're focused on something, it's easy to forget what you're not focused on. And
Mm,
obviously when you're in work mode, it's like I can't have distractions. I need to get this done. I want to do this to the best of my ability. And then I kind of forget what else I have.
mm,
But at the same time, I also know that I have to work hard. I have to provide. I have to model that for my kids for them to understand. Like, but if I didn't work and if I just sat and cuddled on the couch all day,
mm.
we wouldn't be able to do some of the things that you guys enjoy doing as well.
Yeah, it's true.
And so that, yeah, I think I deal with it. I don't want to say it's an everyday thing, but you just have to remind yourself and just kind of have set in your mind of like, yes, when I work, I'm going to work to the best of my ability. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to try
Mm,
doing it with excellence. But then I have to translate that over as well and remind myself of like, okay, I've spent time doing this. I also have a family I have to provide for. And that just doesn't mean
mm,
financially.
mm.
That means emotionally, that means spiritually, that just means leadership. And so I'm always, if I start to go shift more on this side of it, I have to remind myself, okay, I need to focus back on this as well.
Interesting. But can you give us some context though from I guess your job, as my kids have pointed out recently, and asked you the question of, Dad, what do you do? And now knowing you for a couple of years and your work has kind of transitioned, what what's your history been like? And I think that would resonate with a lot of people who, oh, I've got to go on a work trip. And, how many days a year were you away? And at what point did you kind of then, were there events or moments that you're like, I've missed that one, that hurt?
I think about it still, the amount of things I missed that they probably were too young to realize it, but it still was like a dagger in the heart for me
Mm,
of like missing a first goal, missing a first game, missing a first dance recital. Like those things I think pierce a parent more when the kids are really young, when they
mm-hmm,
don't quite understand. But yeah, I mean, I used to have to travel 70 to maybe even 100 nights out of the year away from
mm,
the family for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, sometimes 10 days of
mm,
just being gone and knowing I'm missing those little moments of they walked and got this for themselves. They,
mm,
whatever it was, like there were so many pivotal things that I missed that I was like, I do not want to miss a
mm,
thing. And I think that's why, as much as the travel, I didn't like to travel. You get so many cool experiences, you meet so
mm,
many people, but I wanted to keep the main thing the main thing.
mm.
And if I'm not there, it's very hard to do those things.
All right, not there. I'm going to go deeper on that one then. Using that idea of not there, because I've seen people there but not there. And so, what's the difference? Have you found a different, within you and the other dads that you're consciously aware of? Is there presence, but then there's like, no, there's presence. Like I'm present compared to just, yeah, I'm there in presence.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, let's go out, we'll go get some food.
Mm,
But if I'm just on my phone the whole time,
mm,
I'm not present with my child.
mm,
And again, things might come up. A text message might come in, a phone call might come in, but now I'm showing them that they're not as important than this phone call or this
mm,
text message or whatever it is. So I think, when it does come to spending time, it's not just spending time, it's spending quality time. And what
yeah,
is quality time? It's actually that interaction, it's that
yeah,
conversation. It's making sure that they know they can come to you with anything, they can say anything to you, they
yeah.
can ask anything to you. But if you're not present and you're just another body, you're just another person to them.
I think because a memory took me back to last December. I think there was a Christmas concert they called it at Murphy's school, and so the kindergarten, they had 2 or 3 songs that, each class had and practiced, and we'd practice it at home, and, we talked it through the nerves and all these things. And then, come performance nights, you drop them off and you join all the parents in the concert hall, and there you are. And I still remember, I remember, I was standing next to Nat and we're watching. There's, we're talking like a lot of kids and a lot of parents just to see. Fortunately, the house lights were on, so the kids could see the parent. And I remember before we started the night, I looked out and went, every parent has their phone out. And you could see these kids try and connect with their parents, and their parents were so focused on trying to focus on their kid through the phone that they missed the moment of that kid eyeballing
Right.
a parent. And so I quickly said to Nat, hey, babe, I'll do the filming. So you're there. You get to connect. And there was just this sweet moment of like Murphy looking out, and then Nat's like, Murphy. And then he looks and he's like, oh, and big wave.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, boom, that connection. And I was standing next to Nat, so I was able to put the phone aside and be like,
Yeah.
it's that is what it's about. And I just looked at so many kids there on stage, and they're all desperately searching for their parent, and so many of them just missed it. And it's just those, like, there's presence, but there's being present.
Right.
And it does take, then the next step would be sacrifice. So for you working on the road, and it's important. It's a job you got to provide. So it's a necessary evil, as they say.
Right.
So what are some things that you did then to still try and ease that, like, oh, because I remember you were like, no, I still tried to do some things. So what were some of those practical things to still try and be present?
It was, obviously you have the Zoom, the FaceTime, I said Zoom like my kids even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, it was when I got home, it was full on dad mode, like full on. I am here with you from the time you wake up, from the time we go to bed, because I'm blessed enough to be able to work for a company that they are family oriented. It's owned by a family. So they understand the importance of family time. They understand, you have to make time for your family. And so when you're gone these 4 or 5 days, you get back, it's like, you have 2 days off. You need to make sure that you're spending the time with your family. And I think that really obviously helped my situation, because there's...
But I know that. But can I push back a little and say, what if, so even if you work for a big company, and if you then say to that boss, hey, I've given you 4 days of undivided, like, of my life, and even though it's not an expectation that, you get family time when you get home, what if you actually, like, push back to your boss and say, no, part of it, like, I'm going to be home and I won't respond to that? Wouldn't it be showing if then your boss is like, okay, well then, like...
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of happened to me.
Right.
Like, I had a job, and Josiah was born at like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. I was on a flight that next morning at 7 a.m., gone for 5 days. So I missed the first everything at home.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, when you signed up for this job, you knew what was coming. And so that, to me,
the beginning of the end.
Yes. Yeah. Really. It really was, because it's like, man, I value my family so much.
Yes.
I can't even get a day with my child. You know what I mean? So that there are bosses like that it's work, and that's all we care about. And so I think for me, it was, okay, finding a median, right?
Yeah.
Like, I need to find something that they understand family, that they understand how important that is to me, but also I need to provide for my family, and there has to be some sort of a balance that happens with that.
Have you heard that story where the kid says, and I want to say story because I really hope it's not true, and where the kid is asked, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the kid says, oh, I want to be a phone. Huh? What do you mean I want to be a phone? Yeah, because my parent is on their phone so much. And, like, the first time I heard that,
Yeah.
I was a wreck.
Well, it is because, I mean, I don't know about that exact story, but one of my favorite bands who I just showed you a few
Mm.
days ago, their bass guitarist has been with that band for 20 plus years and got married, now has I think a daughter. And he said when he came home, she thought the phone was daddy. And he's like, "No, daddy's here." And she's like,
Oh,
"No, daddy." And so he's like, it put it in perspective, like,
oh.
this is my passion, my love. I love playing
Mm,
music. I love this band. I've been with them my whole life. But then again, the value of, man,
mm.
this is my daughter who doesn't even know who I am. She's pointing at the phone saying, "Daddy."
Wow.
So he stepped away from the band, which,
Wow.
obviously they all understood as to
Yeah.
why he did it. But it's sad that is a reality
Mm,
for a lot of families, probably.
mm.
I love how he said probably. I know it's a reality for a lot of families.
Definitely. And the book I'm reading at the moment, Levi Lusko, Blessed of the Spiraling, and he looks to, this one, again, music artist, and in the height of their fame, just like left the
Yeah.
industry. And because I was like, no, like we're all family people, and the trajectory was just like fame and traveling.
Right.
Like, and they were like, nah. And people just scratching their head in the industry going, you are mad. What are you doing? And I think it's there going, but even on a lot lesser extent, by even if we drop pay by 20 grand because we're doing less overtime or something, the world, oh, you are mad. What are you doing? But it's there going, yeah, but what, like at the end of the day, and the Bible says, we enter this world with nothing, we leave this world with nothing. And, Levi Lusko then writes about, you don't see a hearse with a U-Haul. And where do you see that casket going? But then all those treasures, it's not there. And I think that speaks to that idea of, oh, but we just saw so many people justify, so many parents, or you know, we justify the work, but it's for that. It's for my spouse, it's for my child. Yeah, but there are other things.
Right.
Is there one event that you have managed to be there for, a milestone that you're like, I'm
Oh,
so glad I got this one?
yeah. I think Amelie's first dance recital,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that wrecked me.
Mm.
Like, knowing I missed the first one. Well, the first one, it was during COVID, so obviously,
Yep.
like, she was home and they had a camera in front and everybody's
Yep.
dancing on
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Zoom.
yeah.
But then I missed the first live dance recital, to
Right.
where it's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be able to give her the flowers. I'm gonna be able to
Yes.
see her
Yeah.
before, and that was all playing out, and then the reality hit of like, I'm not even gonna be here. I have to travel
Mm.
for work.
Mm.
That hurt really bad. To where it's
Mm.
like, I think when we talked about dance recitals, like, I love going to dance recitals.
Mm.
Like, it's one of my
Mm.
favorite things to
Mm.
do is go to a dance recital,
Mm.
just because of how much it meant to me. And then even, with Josiah, the same thing. There were so many sport things that I missed, so many
Mm.
football games that I missed, so many, touchdowns, so many catches, so many. And
Mm-hmm.
Lily's
Mm-hmm.
trying her best to send me
Mm-hmm.
every little video of what's happening, but just not being present there. Now being able to coach his football team,
Yeah.
like, it's just, I've been a complete
That's amazing.
flip of,
Yeah.
I get to be present all the time now at those games.
Mm.
And so, yeah, those were probably like the two biggest things for me.
So I think, and so I know it's not like we're crucifying work. I know we're not like, oh, work, because it can be other things too.
Yeah.
And it's not one dimensional. I think I'm understanding. I have to mention that as well. That little caveat to say there could be some things which mean you can't, and it's not to be like, oh, you're not a good parent.
Right. And I think, a good example is, I just had to go back to LA for work a few weeks ago, and Amelie still struggles with me leaving. Like, we know it's coming. She's going to cry. She doesn't want me to leave. But I also have to model what it is, to be someone who provides, someone who works hard for, the position that they're in. And, having those conversations like, look, trust me, I wish I could stay here with you right now. But I also have a job that I have to work at to be able to provide these sorts of things. And again, a lot of it might go over their heads, but just that continuous conversation of like, yes, I know I don't want to go either,
For sure.
but everything we do, we want to do with excellence. So I
Yeah.
just can't call and be like, hey, my daughter's crying, I can't come. As
Yeah.
much as I want to do that, I also want to model for her as well when she's older of like, there are certain sacrifices that you do have to
Totally.
make
Yep.
that you can't just get out of.
Yep.
And I could cry about it, I could get mad about it, I could sit there and, complain nonstop. But the reality is, if I do that, what am I modeling?
Mm.
Like when things get hard or when I have to do something I don't want to do, we just say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. It's like, no, I think there's a lot of good opportunities that we can have conversations with our kids on why we do certain things the way that we do them so they can understand when they're older, and they can have those conversations with their kids as well and to
Mm.
almost put it in perspective. Will they understand? No, I'm 30 some years old and I've had to call my dad a few times and be
Mm.
like, I understand why you did this now.
Mm.
I remember looking up in
Mm.
the stadium and not seeing him there.
Yes.
I
Yep.
hated it. It was a
Yep.
horrible feeling. I think I might have swayed way too much
Yeah.
because of what I missed out on. But as an adult now, just even with the last few years, like I've called and be like, man, I don't think you appreciate, like, I don't know, I never appreciated how hard you worked for us to
Yep.
give us the things that we loved, to give us the things that
Yeah.
we desired and we
Yeah.
wanted. So, hopefully our kids can understand that quicker
Yeah.
and at a younger age and not have to wait to 30 some years old to be like, oh, dang, I get it now.
Yeah.
But, and I think, that's always, we all have wounds. And I think that was a wound that I had until I realized,
Yeah.
man, he loved us so much. He worked his butt off to provide those
So
things.
true. 'Cause I think that we overuse it, but like there is a balance word, and it is balancing it. So there are some occupations or jobs that you just have to,
Yeah.
or there's some necessary parts. But also, I think outside of work, like I remember when we lived in Gympie, Queensland, and upon diagnosis, Nat just had to move to Brisbane, and it was in the last quarter of the year, so therefore dance recital was coming up. So for Callista. And so I had the 4 kids in Gympie while Nat was in Brisbane, 2.5 hours away, and having to then navigate that dance recital, something she's, worked for months and
Yeah.
months to prepare for, those few dances. Fortunately, there were some amazing women around to step in and help her. But I remember the pain that Nat felt going, I can't do your hair. I can't help with your makeup. I can't be there.
Yeah.
And just that, that's why we're so thankful for community,
Right.
because people step in the gap, or for single parent families where the spouse just left or for whatever reason isn't there. And so therefore there's that tension of how do you fill that gap? And that's a whole other world to talk about. I know we're covering work today and talking about that. But I do think, though, being present is key. There was one which I think this point of the slowing down doesn't mean you're falling behind. It means you're valuing what's right in front of you. And so it's reprioritizing, but also slowing down. We're in an age where I'm not saying be a sloth. It's like right down. And it's like, okay, you got to do something, bro. Like step up. But like, we want to eat more than just baked beans.
Yeah.
But that idea of slowing down is actually okay. And because some people, we do find validation in work, in what we do, and we find identity because we get something done, we achieve it, we feel satisfied, or it's noticed by someone else and they validate us by that comment. So it's like, I wonder what other things we can put in there. Because also, this is the hardest thing I think in parenting. You don't feel validated. There's no promise of validation. There's no instant gratification of parenting. Like your child, you will spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours doing for them, providing, teaching, all those things. There might be a thank you.
Yeah.
Might. It's not even guaranteed. And full disclosure, and I don't think my dad will be listening to this episode. He might be. But I'm in the process of writing a letter. Like I've read Intentional Father by John Tyson, and chapter 2 of the book, I've got to write a letter to my dad. And I've got to thank him
Yeah.
for everything he's taught me and everything, he's helped me with. And as part of my thought process now is actually going the gratitude and thankfulness of food on the table, shelter, bed. I was never really, the power was on, the
Yeah.
heating was on. So like it's those things of going, I'm now 36, having to go back and say, hey, 36 years ago, thank you
Yeah.
for providing. 35 years ago when I was in one, thank you. 30, like, I don't think I've done that before. Like to that level of like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I'm now fast forwarding. I'm going, okay, so I've now got to wait another 25 years for Hugo to maybe circle back to me. And it's like, wow, in 25 years, I'm going to be what, 60? Wow.
But it also, I mean, that when you said that, it just kind of, for me, it helps me. What would I want my kids like if they were to write something in 25 years?
Yeah.
I need to start thinking now of the things that I can teach them, the things that I can converse with them, because I don't want them to sit back and be like, dang, what did he do? Like, yeah, he worked. He picked me up from football. He took me to dance. Like, yeah, that's great. But what else? Like, so in my mind, when you were saying it, I was like, man, I need to step up in that. So when they do look back, they can reflect and be like, man, my dad was X. He was Z. He was always this. And to where it's like, there's so much I could say that I need extra pages for this thing. Like that to me is a motivation of just like, why am I taking a break?
I want my kid to have extra pages.
Yeah.
And you're like,
you need multiple pencils to write this down.
That's wild. That is great. I think some practical things, just as parents, as workers, as dads, trying to, I think, looking and evaluating. I wonder, and I always start with I wonder if it's possible. Maybe it's during summer, maybe it's on a weekend, maybe it's when you got a day off. If you're a parent and you've got children, or if you don't have kids, but a friend has children. Here's my challenge. I wonder if you can, just for a day, just for 24 hours, drop everything. So it's not a yes day, because yes days come with a bit of a connotation of like the kids are entitled. But this is I'm going to drop my agenda for a day. What do you want to do?
I love that. Yeah.
And for me, kids don't want to spend any time doing the dishes. So part of that is like, we're not doing dishes for a day. And if you want to go from like eating straight outside, trampoline, straight in the car because we want to get ice cream, straight in the,
let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
And for a day, we want to finger painting. Fantastic. Let's go finger painting. Oh, you don't want to wash your hands. Okay, let's not wash your hands. Just full present. And no adages or edits or anything of just like, all right, as long as it's safe and it's, phone, everything's off, just present
I
for a day.
guarantee that will change the relationship in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because guess what they're going to do after that? Can we do it again?
Yeah.
Now they want to spend time with you again and again and again. And I'm not saying you have to have a yes day every day.
Yeah.
But something along those lines of just the presence of doing what they love doing, knowing that dad or mom is with me while we're doing it. And they're not on their phone. They're not picking up the remote. They're not, it's like, no, we're here. Yeah. It's sacrifice. Just like we sacrifice nonstop for our jobs of, I got to work. We can't take that away.
Yeah.
Sacrificing that time for the kids
for sure
is the exact same thing. And we can come up with so many excuses of like, I'm busy. Like we got church, we got leadership meetings, football coach, we got dance, we got volleyball, we got football practice. Like I got to spend time with my wife. I just don't have time to do these things. I have this project I have to work on. It's like, wait a minute. I probably could start with an hour. I probably could start with an hour of just having a focus, sitting down. What's your favorite cereal? Let's have your favorite cereal today. We're going to sit down and have breakfast today.
Yeah.
Like just something small.
I was surprised at how quick time does go if you just play.
It does.
And you're like, oh, wow. Like I was on the trampoline, this was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, thinking, 5 minutes. Half an hour later, I was like I'm sweating.
Well, you were landing those double and triple backflips pretty well. So I get it.
The second thing, so one is no agenda day. No
I
agenda.
love that.
And my second one, it would be, because to couple that, a practical example is I've just heard someone recently that was gung ho at work, and then shifted positions and is like, home, 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 home. And their child was like, you're here all the time. This is weird. You know,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be weird that we're like,
Yeah.
okay, so one, maybe no agenda, just pick a day. The other encouragement is this: if it's been a hot minute since you've been on a holiday or a vacation, a break, do it. And if you can now, your brain goes straight to can't afford it, sacrifice for it.
Mm.
And if your brain goes to I don't have leave, take leave without pay. Like, fine, and it doesn't have to be 3 weeks and you go on a cruise. It could be take a day or a couple of days off.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at how quick you can accelerate just break by being transported to a new location. And we went away for a weekend, 2 nights, and we came back going, oh, like A, that was still refreshing, and B, that was just like 2 full days of just
Time.
Yeah. And I think I really appreciate the encouragement from a pastor that we had who said kids remember mountaintops, some kids remember valleys, no kid remembers the middle and that grey. And I think that in parenting and life, there's a lot of grey. There's just a lot of like just routine and structure and brushing teeth and, like that.
That's so true.
I don't remember any of that, So therefore, what I do remember, though, I remember going to Queensland on a holiday when I was 5. I remember going to the River Murray when I was 7. I remember going on a houseboat holiday when I was 9. I remember,
right.
You remember those things. So that's my second one. 1, no agenda day. 2, get a break. Have a break.
I love that. I love that.
Dan, any final challenges?
Final challenges is literally take a break. That is my challenge. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be on the holiday of going to the resort. It doesn't have to be getting on a plane. It can be driving an hour out of the city.
Yeah.
Airbnb or a hotel or whatever it is.
We've even done like a day trip to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
2 hours from Atlanta. And we just said to the kids, like, Nat and I decided, we didn't plan it. We were just doing laundry at like 7 a.m. And that was like, we've still got a day off before we got to go to work tomorrow. Do we just do a day trip somewhere? And then like telling the kids that was so exciting.
Yeah, it's like they're going to Disney World.
Oh, like, what? Oh, what? Like, we're like, no, put your shoes on, we're going. Huh? And we jumped in the car, we went there, like, a couple of experiences, we had a lunch out, like, we got home late that night and it was packed.
Yeah.
Do they remember it? Yes.
Yep. And it's because it was out of the routine as well. It's just a spur of the moment. And I think those are such cool moments to have. Of just like the spur of the moment, let's go here. Let's go. Yeah. And again, it doesn't have to be spending money.
Yeah.
We can go to a park.
Yes. Yes.
There's so many options that we have, but we try creating these things like, I need to give them the best experience and take them to Disney World for 2 weeks. It's like
the YouTubers with llamas.
I take it all back to that. It's the expectation of these darn YouTubers of we're gonna get this for my birthday and I'm gonna get this for my birthday.
Honestly, and it's Katy Perry going into space. Like, why?
Yeah, we don't need to do that for our kids to remember and experience. They just don't. Go take them to a different type of food from a different culture.
Yeah, wow.
They will remember that.
Even if they hate it, they will remember it.
Yeah, that's even better. They
and
take
you
a
have
bite
fun
of it.
about it, and you just go get French fries on the way home.
Yeah,
like it's just.
We'll pick up some Maccas on the way home.
Honestly.
And yeah. But they will remember it if it tastes bad, if it tastes good, or if it was just a different experience, and that takes an hour and a half. I can take that break, and I can go do that.
That's so good. My final encouragement, I love this stat, is if you do something new every day, you are going to be 10% more creative. So even by just mixing up your routine and doing something, it'll benefit you as well listening, because it will make you more creative. And so the brain scientists have realized, if you just do something new, so change what hand you brush your teeth in, if that's one day, and you just keep doing new stuff every day.
My first thing was, I'm going to tie my shoes differently. I'm going to loop it around this way. I'm going to do bunny ears one day. That's just, I can use a shoe like 5 different ways, 5 different days.
And you're just going to be more
Wow.
creative. So there you go. So it
Thank you
will
for that.
benefit you. If not for your kids, you'll just get more creative. Thanks for listening. Share. If there's something, another parenting tip we would love to know, or just if you want to encourage people by your example or story, please just let us know. Hit us up. We want to give you a shout out as well, because what we want to create is a wonderful community of just amazing parents, which you already are, and we know that. But can you help us, and we'll help you. It's just good. That's how you do community.
Give us some tips. You give us some tips.